You're listening to Health Coach Conversations, a podcast where our conversations help health coaches all around the world to level up our businesses and to get more clients. Hello and welcome. I'm Kathy Sikora with the Health Coach Group. Lindsey Byrne helps people to improve their brain health and memory, prevent dementia, and improve symptoms with an MCI diagnosis. She's a functional medicine certified health coach, FMCHC, and certified Code 2.0 health coach. She helps people whose parents lived with dementia who'd like to work on prevention, anyone noticing any amount of change in memory processing or just noticing some brain fog, maybe through menopause or long COVID, who'd like to sharpen up and stay sharp and productive for their whole lives. Those who believe food is medicine are determined to improve their brain health and health in general through natural approaches and lifestyle adjustments, who have the grit and determination to work at it, but just need some support to find the best approach for them and to make it stick. Today, we're going to talk about how to improve your brain health and memory, stay sharp, happy, and productive for your whole life. I think that what we're going to talk about, probably everyone is interested in, and if they're not interested in it, they probably should be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody with a brain.
Everybody with a brain. That's good. So you help, this is very interesting because almost everybody has a relative, I think, that has had dementia or Alzheimer's or, something with cognition. And so do you work primarily with people who have worked that way, or in addition to that, you work with people that just want to make sure their brain stays sharp?
Both, actually, yes. Some of my clients come to me because they've either already got a diagnosis of dementia or have been hiding from the doctor, but they know themselves. So I can help people with that, definitely, in terms of reversing the symptoms. Better results the earlier you catch it. The later you catch it, we can probably halt the decline, but potentially not much more. But yeah, lots of my clients come to me around about my age. Either they have no symptoms at all, but they've got parents who lived with dementia and they want to prevent. But equally, people around my age who notice one or two changes to their memory, sometimes in menopausal brain fog, or sometimes post an infection like post-COVID. But even the people who think they're okay at the moment, I always start with a cognitive test, an online, totally objective cognitive test, so that they can see exactly how they are doing. And sometimes they get a little surprise. They're not doing quite as well as they thought. And then we finish the coaching package with the same test. So as much as they will be feeling better themselves, they can actually put a number on it and then feel really confident about how much improvement they've made.
That's very good. Yeah, so they start out knowing where they are that maybe they didn't know before, and then they end up knowing how much they gained by working on it.
Exactly.
In our family, we've got grandkids and great grandkids. I mean, how far down the line and how early do you start working on that?
Well, it's never too early to start working on your brain health.
Yeah. 20? 16?
Well, I think you might have a hard time selling that to that age group, I must admit. There are lots of studies and research to show that the impact we're having on our brain health starts 30 years before we notice any symptoms. So I guess a 16-year-old or a 20-year-old might not be that interested. But actually, bringing your kids up to eat really healthily, to eat whole foods, is going to stand them in good stead for the rest of their lives anyway. Get in the habits early.
Right. How did you get into health coaching?
Well, my mum has Alzheimer's. We didn't actually have a diagnosis, but a couple of years before the pandemic, we started to notice that her memory was getting worse. And then just before the pandemic, we were trying to move mum and dad into a retirement village. And I think my mum had been doing quite a good job of hiding the symptoms, guessing at answers and, she had little tactics. I'm not saying consciously, maybe that's just a subconscious thing, but she was doing that anyway. But during the move, which ended up actually happening during the pandemic. I think it got really hard to hide it because there were so many different things going on, people visiting the house to view the house, and, people coming and helping with moving stuff and selling off some of their goods to downsize. It became really obvious that she wasn't sure always what was going on, or knew somebody had visited, couldn't remember why, couldn't remember when. So it became really obvious. And then after they moved into the retirement village, we actually got a diagnosis of Alzheimer's for her, took her to the GP. And that was mainly me driving that, because I wanted to have a conversation with her about how we might reverse it, because I'd met somebody in the pandemic purely by chance who told me he'd almost completely reversed his symptoms of Alzheimer's. And I was really excited. His story was he'd noticed in his mid-30s, and he'd had to give up his job in his mid-40s when he couldn't hide it anymore. And I was actually meeting him in his mid-50s, and he just turned it around in the last sort of 3 years. Wow. So he sent me, to notice in your 30s, that's got to be a really awful thing to go through. It's an awful disease for anyone to go through at any age. But yeah, he sent me links to books and clinical trials and videos. And I found this whole world of doctors in the US who've been doing this stuff, reversing the symptoms, for about 12 years. And we knew nothing about it here in the UK. I'd never heard of it. I'd Googled about what could you do about it, and all I came up against was there's no cure, there's nothing you can do. So yeah, I basically got my mum diagnosed purely so I could have a conversation with her about getting on the protocol. Our family, we're not the type to talk about the important things. We don't talk about emotions. We don't talk about illness. We hide things. So it was really hard, kind of just summoning up the courage to start the conversation. But yeah, got my mum on the protocol. She improved significantly. Initially, I thought it might be a bit of wishful thinking on my part, and I might be noticing, just some good days. But when everybody started commenting on it and everybody started noticing, I knew it was working. And my brother had been quite cynical about the protocol, and he's now on the prevention protocol, as am I. So it sold it to him.
Very good. What can people hope to achieve with the protocol?
So, yeah, if you are my sort of age, mid-50s, and just noticing a little few symptoms, like commonly I notice people tell me they are struggling to find their words sometimes, or just forgetting why they walked in a room, the usual stuff. We can absolutely sharpen you up. And at the end of the whole process, you'll probably look back and not realise how bad you were until you've got your full function back and you're feeling as sharp as you used to do years ago. If you have a diagnosis, if you're quite in the early stages, or if you know there's something, you definitely know there's something wrong, but you've been hiding from the doctor, that's fine. We can, can't promise to get everybody back to completely normal, because it does depend on you having the grit and determination to do the whole protocol. There's quite a range of lifestyle changes you might have to make. And if you do have a diagnosis, if you're at that stage, you will need to see a doctor as well. Not just any old doctor, a doctor also trained in the protocol, who can do much deeper testing than your normal GP or, your medical doctor, your primary care provider, to look at your bloods, look at your hormones, look at any potential toxins you've been exposed to. There's likely to be more than one cause, so there might be some supplements to take as well. But the more you throw yourself in the protocol and the earlier we catch it, the more likely you are to get back to completely normal. But as I say, there are examples of people a bit further down the road who can at least stop the decline. Mm-hmm. So if you're functioning okay, you're living a reasonable quality life, actually stopping the decline can be just what you need as well. It's kind of like that with my mum. She won't do the whole protocol. I mean, she has had big improvements, but she won't do the whole protocol. So I've had to reset my expectations. I'm kind of happy with the fact that she forgets some things, but she remembers a lot of things. She's not confused. She can engage in conversation. She knows what's going on. And
she knows who you are when you go to visit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's never been at that stage where she doesn't know that.
Yeah.
She was at the stage where she could absolutely hold a conversation, but 15 minutes later, nothing. She couldn't remember a thing from 15 minutes ago. And now she still forgets some things, but she remembers a lot of things for weeks. So I'm kind of happy. She's got a reasonable quality life. She knows what's going on. She's not confused. So long as she maintains that and she just stays stable, I'm happy with that.
You talk about the protocol and you talk about, having a doctor that uses the protocol too. Do
Yeah.
you use a protocol that's accepted worldwide or nationally, or what type of protocol is it, and how many people use it?
Yeah, so the protocol was developed by Dr. Dale Bredesen, and he's in the US. And he's been using this with patients for 12 years now, and they've had some amazing results. In fact, a handful of his very early patients have written a book together. There's 7 of them, and 11 years on, they are still going strong. So it was born in America. He has trained people all over the world. Obviously, it's much bigger in America. Here in the UK, there are just 5 of us health coaches trained in the protocol, and the health coaches are trained to help people implement the lifestyle change. And there's also, I think, about 5 practitioners, 5 doctors and nutritionists in the UK trained in actually doing the testing and recommending the right supplements based on that testing here in the UK.
What part of the UK are you in, and are they spread out over the UK, or are they centralized, or
Yeah,
what?
I'm in Coventry, which is right in the centre of England, but everybody's spread out. But it doesn't really matter. My clients are national anyway. We do everything over Zoom, so it's very easy for everybody.
Okay. And then how about in the United States? Do you know how spread out that is? Are there a lot of
Um,
doctors that are using
there
that?
are a lot. There are a lot. In most states, you will find more than one practitioner and more than one health coach. There's plenty of resources out in the States. I wish we were in the same position in the UK. It is growing. I was one of the first. So, it is growing slowly. So I can only hope it really sort of takes hold through people finding out about it from podcasts like this.
Good.
People hear about it, doing their
Good.
own research on the Bredesen Protocol, and giving it a go.
Yeah. Are you differentiating dementia from Alzheimer's, or?
Mm. Yeah, so dementia is an umbrella term for any form of cognitive decline. Alzheimer's is a particular form of dementia. It is the biggest one. It accounts for about 80% of dementia cases. And the only reason we normally talk about Alzheimer's with the Bredesen Protocol is that all the clinical trials he's done have been with people with Alzheimer's. So we can absolutely say, these are the trials, this is what happened with people with Alzheimer's. But we know that the protocol works with other kinds of dementias. There's plenty of other clients with different types of dementia who are benefiting greatly. So the only reason we say Alzheimer's all the time is because of the trials.
Your success is our blueprint. The Health Coach Group empowers health professionals with the tools and strategies needed to attract clients and build a robust online presence. Take the leap to a successful practice with our support. Visit thehealthcoachgroup.com now.
Okay, so tell me about the protocol.
So it's huge. There's a lot to do. There is a lot to do. I do have to say, my clients have usually come to me and they've researched this already and they've decided this is the way they want to go, and they've got the grit and determination to see it through. And those are the qualifiers, really. That's what really helps somebody to make the difference. But we look at diet, we look at exercise, we look at sleep and stress and oral health and the quality of your relationships and your sense of meaning and purpose in life and your environment. And we look at detoxifying your will, because a lot of the causes can be toxin related. So that could be having been exposed to heavy metals. Some of my clients were engineers in their career, or having been exposed to mold. I've got a few clients who are exposed to mold right now or in the past, and that has had a big impact. But equally, just the amount of toxins that we are exposed to these days. The fertilizers, chemical fertilizers and pesticides they spray on our food, the chemicals in our cleaning products, in our personal care products that we put on our skin. There's just so many. I mean, and food coming in plastics, and even worse, if that food is heated in the plastic leaches into the food. So there are so many things that you can do quite cheaply and, quite easily.
And it's all lifestyle management, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so what have been some standout moments for your clients?
Yeah, so one of my clients came to me. She actually found the Bredesen Protocol before I did, and she'd been plugging away at it for years. Unfortunately, at that time, obviously, there were no practitioners or health coaches trained in the protocol in the UK. So she was doing the best she could on her own. She had found a practitioner who at least knew what the protocol was, but were not fully trained in it. So I don't think she got the best support she could have. And she did have some improvements, but I think she found it really hard work. Now, when I met her, she was getting a bit desperate. She found me. And honestly, the first time I spoke to her over Zoom, I didn't know that I was going to be able to coach her, because although she was really determined, she was really scattered. She was skipping from one subject to another. She was talking about things that it felt like she thought she'd already mentioned to me and that I understood what she was talking about. Honestly, it was a really difficult conversation. And, I came close to saying I'm not sure I could help her. But just something about her, I really did want to help her. And in 6 months, she really turned that around. So she had, you remember the online test that I mentioned? She'd scored 32 from memory. And in 6 months, she got that up to 92.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So that is better than 92% of women her age, because they always show these scores of you compared to people of your age and gender. So better than 92% of women her age. I mean, that's just such an impressive score, full stop. But to move from 32 to 92, amazing. And most of that, there was quite a lot of things that really we focused on. Diet was definitely one. The practitioner, there is a very specific diet that you do called Keto Flex 12-3 as part of the protocol.
I was going to ask you about that, because I've interviewed a few people, and I don't know if they do the same protocol, but I know that they're doctors who have decided that the keto diet is clearing up a lot of problems for people with dementia.
Oh, it really is. And not just dementia. A lot of my clients come to me and they're pre-diabetic, and that goes away with the diet. Yeah. My clients' partners tell me they've lost weight, or their joint aches and pains have gone away, or they're just feeling healthier as well. So it is a very healthy diet. It's a healthy version of keto. There's a lot of different keto diets out there, and some of them are a bit dirty keto. A lot of heavy protein.
Make it dirty.
Yeah, a lot of heavy protein and a lot of saturated fats. That is not what the diet is about. It's very much about a broad range of plant-based food, non-starchy veggies. So at least half a plate of non-starchy veggies, just a normal amount of protein, and then adding really healthy fats like extra virgin olive oil, avocados, nuts and seeds, oily fish, those kind of things. So it really is a healthy diet. It's probably how we would have eaten as cave people.
Yeah. Okay. So that is working out, and that came through on all those tests that were done, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, cool. And the client I was mentioning, her practitioner, who was aware of the protocol but not trained in it, had said to my client previously, don't bother with a keto diet. Your diet is pretty good already. But it is actually imperative for your brain health, because as we age, all of us, everybody, your brain becomes less good at using glucose as a fuel source. But your brain can always use ketones and fats as a fuel source. We're actually designed to be eating fruit all summer when it's available and using glucose as a source. But then in the winter, when the fruit's all gone, we should be eating other things and live and a
nuts
lot
that we
of the
stored
fuel.
like the squirrels.
Yeah, exactly. And so we wouldn't be getting carbs all winter, and we would be naturally in ketosis. And the key is actually not to be consistently in ketosis, but to achieve metabolic flexibility, which just means that you can use glucose or fats and ketones as a fuel source, and you can switch between the two easily. That's what we're aiming for. That's the natural state of human beings. That's what we're evolved to do.
Okay, so you do the keto flex for the nutrition side of things. How about exercise? How is exercise different, or is it just the same that you have to have it?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to have exercise. There are so many benefits of exercise. If you're doing aerobic type exercise, then it is getting the blood pumping around your body, which means the blood is getting to your brain with all the oxygen it needs, all the nutrients it needs, all the hormones that are moving around as well. So that's good. Strength training is really important as well. There are plenty of studies showing that the amount of muscle mass you have correlates with your brain mass. And it's just, I'm not sure anybody knows why. I've read lots of trial papers, lots of clinical papers, and I can't get to the bottom of why, but it does definitely seem that the more muscle mass you have, the better your brain health. And then it's good to be flexible as well. I mean, just generally for our health as we age, it's good to be flexible. It stops us falling. And, you know, if we're more able to move freely and easily, we're more likely to enjoy some movement. But what I always focus on with my clients is what would they enjoy? I don't go to the gym. I'm certainly not going to make my clients go to the gym. I don't like it. I mean, if they love it, great. But it's about what you enjoy. And, you know, some types of exercise are really good for your brain specifically. So if you think about dancing is exercise in its own right. It's getting the blood pumping. But also, you're dancing with somebody else. You're having to listen to the music and the beat and stay in time. Mm-hmm. You're watching somebody else and following their cues. So, you know, if they move a certain way, or if it's partner dancing, you know, they're kind of touching you in a certain way to indicate what they want, what move they want next. And that is a great workout for your brain while you're exercising.
That's why people that go to the Eras tour are smarter. They all dance and sing at the same time.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got, what about stress? How do you work with them for stress?
Yeah, so stress is really important because if we are living stressful lives, then our cortisol being high, adrenaline being high, those stress hormones, they actually disrupt how much you're making of all the other hormones. So they're also a bit inflammatory, you know. They're there for a good reason. They're there to allow us to run away or to fight. But we don't do much of that these days, do we? We're not cave people anymore. We're not running away from the tiger. So if we've got low level chronic stress, that just means we are subject to low level inflammation all the time. And inflammation is really bad for the brain. Mm-hmm. So we need to just find a way to relax and get away from that stress every day if we can. So again, it depends on the client and what suits them. I mean, meditation is great, but then I do have some clients who really don't enjoy meditation. So we just find other things, and it might just be taking some time a few times a day just to do a few deep breaths, or it could be finding something that they really enjoy that they can focus on and be totally present with. So that could be just listening to some music. It could be reading a book and getting really engrossed in that book. Mm-hmm. And whatever gets you kind of in that flow state.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was younger, I did a lot of needlepoint, and I was looking at that the other day, and I thought that probably was very, very helpful for relieving stress when my kids were little.
Yeah, absolutely. But also really good for your brain because you've got your hand-eye coordination going on.
Right. Yeah.
It's tiny work, so you're very focused, and you're using, you know, your eyes and you know, trying to follow a pattern. Yeah, really good for you.
Yeah, I saw some little kits. I thought I ought to get my granddaughters those, maybe even my grandsons, because that's a good thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
And coloring books are fun too. We did those during COVID.
Yeah, we all did that, didn't we, during COVID? And that's a good stress reliever as well. And if you think about it, when you're doing that coloring in, you're pretty focused.
Mm-hmm.
You are
Get
just
that
in the
shading
present.
just right.
Yeah, exactly. You're not worrying about anything. You're not doing your shopping list in your head while you're colouring in. You're focused on the task, so you're very present.
Yeah. Okay, and sleep. How important is sleep?
Oh, listen, sleep is just there's so many good reasons why we need to sleep. So there's different phases in our sleep. So during deep sleep, this is when our body is in repair mode, but also our brain is washing out. There's actual liquid that goes through our brain that washes out all of the leftover proteins and all of the, byproducts of stuff that need to be washed out. So deep sleep's really important. REM
Yes.
sleep, REM sleep when we're dreaming is really important because that's when our hippocampus is storing all our memories from the day. So it's not just about how much we sleep, it's also about the quality of sleep we're getting. But I also recognise, that some of your listeners might be living with some insomnia, and there's nothing more stressful than somebody telling you how important sleep is if you're not getting any and you can't get any. And also, they've probably told lots of people that they're struggling to sleep, and everyone will have given them a tip. Everyone will have said, try this, try that. And if you've tried all those things and they're not working, it's really, really frustrating. What I would say is we do know lots of things really do help with sleep. So the kind of normal tips, the tips you hear a lot, like no blue screens before bed, having it really dark in the room, having it nice and cool in the bedroom, and maybe some lavender, warming your body up before bed, doing something relaxing before bed. All of those tips should work. So if people have tried one or two at different times, try them all together. Go for it. Try them all because it may just be that they're additive. And then the only other thing I would say is if somebody is really struggling to sleep and they've tried all of those tips and they've tried them all together, if you've been having insomnia for more than 3 months, it could be that your brain has got into that pattern. And in that case, it would be worth trying some CBTI, cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia. If you've ever slept well in the past, your brain does know what to do. We just need to reset it to knowing to do what it always used to do.
Right. Yeah. What resources can people look at for help?
So you can just Google the Bredesen Protocol and you will find lots of information about it. Dr. Bredesen's company is called Apollo, so you can look for the Apollo Health Co. and you'll find lots of information there. And of course, you can look at my website. There's lots of info on my website, lots of resources that you can access. And in fact, if you look at my website, I'll give you all the details to put in the notes after the show. But the website is thecognitivehealthcoach.co.uk. There's quite a few pages and quite a lot of resources there. But if you go to the contact page, so thecognitivehealthcoach.co.uk/contact, you can request my free brain health guide and you'll get a series of emails with great tips in there, lots of things that you can do for your own brain health. And that's totally free.
This is cute. I'm looking at your URL here. You've got the Cognitive Health Coach Co.uk. What did I come in here for again?
Yes. That's my book. Oh, yeah. So there's also my book.
That's great.
Which is just launched on the 4th of July.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And it's an Amazon #1 bestseller on launch day.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
This is a really good resource as well because
Very
it's my story. It goes through all of the elements of the Bredesen Protocol and how I implemented them and what results I saw. It's also got some of my mum's story in there and some case studies from clients. But it's also full of self-assessments, so you can decide how well you're doing on each of the elements. And then also some coaching templates asking some really great questions that can perhaps help you think about things in a slightly different way to help you implement the different parts of the protocol.
Excellent. Very good. Can people find out if they're at risk? They find out by taking the test. Is that the best thing to do?
Yeah, exactly. So if you do the CQ test, I will give you a link to that to put in the show notes. It's absolutely free. And as I said before, it will tell you how you're doing against other people your age and gender. So if you score 50, you're average. We don't want to be 50. We want to be higher than that.
I'd like to be like 99.5.
Yeah. I'm in the high 90s now. Yeah, I'm in the high 90s now. But
are you? Congratulations.
Yeah. My executive function was down at 55 when I first found the test. And my memory and my processing speed were in the 90s, but my executive function was down at 55, which is still better than average. But it really bothered me, the disparity between the scores. I just thought that can't be right.
We think we're better than that. We're better than average.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, after the protocol, I'm in the high 90s for all of it. So it's a really good detailed test. It's much more thorough than the one you do at the doctor's. You know, the MOCA test you do at the doctor's surgery, and they get you to draw a clock face and remember an address and things like that. That is really quite a blunt instrument. This is quite a lot more detailed, gives you a lot more information, and tests more different areas of your memory and of your brain, of your cognitive health. It's not just memory, it's also processing speed and executive function, which is your ability to follow complex instructions, to think strategically, things like that.
Yeah, I would think almost it'd be your ability to participate in life.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Great. Well, I've learned a lot, and I'm going to order your book.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with me today. I appreciate it. This has been a lot of good information.
You. Yeah, I mean, thank you. My mission in life is to get the word out there that there is something that you can do. And this is the best way I can think of doing that. Just talking to people like you with lots of listeners who can hear this and store it up as information to pass on to anyone they come across who might say, oh, I'm just not as sharp as I used to be.
Yeah, well, you know what? There might be, most of our listeners are doctors and nurses and health coaches, and they may just be looking for something just like this protocol that they can work with. So yeah, I think it's good to get the word out about it. Sounds like Definitely. a good plan.
And we definitely need more practitioners, more doctors training, and more health coaches training in the protocol as well.
Yeah. Do you, I know I was starting to wind down, but I've got one more question. Do you work with doctors then? Yeah,
definitely. So when a client comes to me and they do the CQ test,
the
CQ test will either tell them that they need pre-code, preventative, or recode, reversal of cognitive decline. And if it's reversal, they definitely need to see the doctor and get some blood tests and find out exactly what the root causes are, because that is the fastest way we can turn it around, along with the lifestyle changes. But if it just says very low risk, pre-code, just preventative, and if their scores are pretty good, then we can just tackle it with lifestyle change and see how good we can get the scores just with some lifestyle change.
Very good. Okay, for real, I'm done now. So
okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed our chat.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the show. If you liked what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating or review on iTunes.